ever quits or begins to, before a person ever quits, they begin to yield to weariness. When you yield to weariness, listen, it's not going to be long before you consider giving up and not finishing what you start. If you give in to weariness, if you begin to get weary, if you let yourself get weary, there's times you just got to rejoice and begin to give God the praise for whatever he's called you to do, for whatever he's telling you to do. Don't let yourself be weary. Don't get tired of doing what's right. God has your back. I said, God has your back. Say that with me. Say, God has my back. I'm going to give you some nuggets for finishing. Some nuggets for finishing. A, we are judged by what we finish, not by what we start. People never remember people for what they start. They always remember you for what you finish. We start a whole lot of things every day, every month, every year. At the beginning of every year, people have what I call New Year's resolutions, things that they say they're going to do. They're going to lose weight, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. Finish what you start. If you plan to get down to a certain size, finish what you start. Don't try to do it all overnight. I mean, it might take dieting and eating right and exercising, and it might take a whole year of doing that same thing over and over and over. And when you get to the end of that year, you're going to keep it off because you did it gradually, you stayed with it, you were steady about it. Actually, statistics say that 21 days of a particular thing, doing a particular thing for 21 days in a row, it causes that thing to become a habit in your life. Also, I want to encourage you and say this to you, that successful men and women do every day what unsuccessful men and women only do occasionally. Successful men and women do every day what unsuccessful men and women only do occasionally. I'm telling you, I'm encouraging you, get up, dust yourself off, get back started, and finish what you started. So again, we are judged by what we finish, not by what we start. B, being positive does not mean we deny the existence of difficulty. It means we believe God is greater than our difficulties. Anytime you take on a task, anytime you get an assignment from God, anytime you begin to hear from God what you're supposed to do in life, many times things are going to begin to come at you that's difficult. There's going to be circumstances that come at you that's difficult. But we got to believe, you got to believe, men and women have got to believe that God is greater than their difficulties. C, go after what you want as if your life depended on it. Go after what you want in life as if your life depended on it, because it does. Go after what you want in life as if your life depended on it, because it does. If you're going to finish what you start, you got to believe with everything within you that God has called you to do this thing. There's somebody listening to me on today, and you know that God has told you to do a particular thing, and all hell has broken out against you. See, hell don't come at you until you get focused, until you get on your assignment, and you really begin to know what God's called you to do. I believe that in this time of being quarantined and people being in the house and having time to talk to God, I mean, many of us are hearing God like we've never heard God before, and we're hearing God's voice telling us exactly what to do. And when God tells you what to do, that's the thing in life that's going to cause you to be successful financially. It's going to cause you to be successful with your family. It's going to cause you to be successful with men, women, boys, and girls. Your success comes in knowing your assignment, and Satan hates the completion of our assignment. When you get on a thing and you act like you're going to finish it, all hell breaks out against you, because Satan knows that if you ever finish your assignment, if you stay with your assignment, if you begin to walk with God in a particular area, that all hell is going to come against you, because he knows that you're going to cause people to come to Christ. Or if it's on your job, some of you are called to certain jobs and to certain positions, and God wants you to go to school to do that thing. But many times we're too lazy to finish, to start, and to finish what God has called us to do. For certain jobs, you have to have a certain education. You got to take certain classes. You got to take certain courses. You got to fulfill a particular thing. And many times people will know early in life, I'm supposed to do this or I'm supposed to do that, and they never get started. Finish what you start. Or they'll start and they'll take 1 or 2 classes or 1 or 2 courses and then all of a sudden maybe stop. Or they'll get on a job. Listen to me. Or they'll get on another job that has nothing to do with what God told you to do and then stay with that all of your life. I've seen men and women that God has called them into college, or God has a particular thing for them to do, or to be a nurse, or to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, or whatever vocation God calls them into. And they'll get started and they'll go to school for a year and they'll meet somebody in school, and all of a sudden, they get married, and then they drop out of school and they never finish what God told them to do. They have 2 or 3 babies, and all of a sudden now it's more difficult to do what God called you to do. But forget about the difficulties. Know that God is greater, as I said a little while ago, than all your difficulties. We can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth us. I'm encouraging you today. There's somebody today, you were born for a particular thing. You were born to do a particular thing. There's an anointing on your life to do that thing, and I want you to finish what you start. D, these are just some nuggets. I got a whole lot for you. These are some nuggets right here. Some people spend all their life starting new things and never finishing anything. Child of God, let us make a decision that we will be more than a statistic that never reached its full potential. Finish what you start. See, Satan hates finishers. Write this down. Satan hates finishers. It is not enough to begin a thing. Only those who endure to the end will be saved, promoted, and rewarded. That is why Satan deceives. If he can get you to forsake your assignment before it is finished, he knows another assignment may never begin. I'm going to say that again. Satan knows that if he can get you to forsake your assignment before it is finished, he knows another assignment may never begin. Or even worse, he will fool you into thinking the unfinished assignment was faithfully finished, making room in your life for even more compromise at everything you start. Then write this down. Jesus was a finisher. When Jesus died on Calvary, he cried out. He said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. St. John 19 and 30. Also in St. John 17 and verse 4, Jesus prayed this to the Father. He said, "I have finished the work which you gavest me to do." Jesus said, "I have finished the work which you gavest me to do." And then I want to make another point to you. Jesus is even called a finisher. I love it. Jesus is called a finisher. In Hebrews 12 and 2, it says, "Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God." Jesus is called a finisher. He said, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. I want to say to you, finish what you start. Satan hates when we make up our mind to finish what we start. I want to give you 10 important facts that you should know about finishing and about your assignment and about the enemy that's going to come at you when you begin to go after what God has called you to do. Number one, the goal of your enemy is broken focus. The goal of our enemy is broken focus. If Satan can break your focus, he can get you off of the goal. He can get you off the assignment. He can get you out of the will of God of that particular thing that God has called you to do. Number two, never permit your focus to be shifted to your enemy just because things suddenly start to go wrong after you've discovered your assignment. Oh, that was a mouthful. I need to say that again. Never permit your focus to be shifted to your enemy just because things suddenly start to go wrong after you've discovered your assignment. Actually, this probably confirms that you are in the center of the will of God. Many times when things start to go wrong, it's Satan trying to stop us from finishing what God has called us to do. Number 3, I've given you 2. Number 3, every move you make in the right direction will be confronted by your enemy. Every move that we make in the right direction will be confronted by our enemy. Remember this. Demons are assigned, I believe, geographically, and they are assigned to certain areas, demonic spirits. When Satan discovers that you are pursuing the center of your assignment, demons will be assigned to prevent your entry into the next season of your life, to break your focus and dilute and destroy your joy. Just like in this particular region of Louisiana, where I live, across the whole state. I mean, this is not a put down, but I want to bring something to you, make you aware of some things. We hear about witchcraft. We hear about oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble with some. We hear about certain things they have. They say that's many of that coronavirus and all that was started. The Mardi Gras and throwing beads and the Three Sisters and the two-headed man and all of that. In other regions, San Francisco, we know what San Francisco is known for. I won't even go into any of that. We know what Vegas is known for. I believe certain demons inhabit certain regions, and those particular spirits will be assigned or try to get you off a course or find out your weaknesses. And I could go on and on and on in different areas and what different areas are known for. Every move you make toward the right direction will be confronted by your enemy. Number 4, recognize the value of an enemy. What? Recognize the value of an enemy. Your enemy, listen at this. This is good. Your enemy is a signpost or indication permitted by God to confirm that you are truly entering the greatest season of your life. Your enemy is an indication. Your enemy is a signpost permitted by God to confirm that you are truly entering the greatest season of your life. Many times when your enemy shows up, don't take off and run. Know that God has allowed that particular thing many times to come into your life so God can give you a sign. It's an indication. See, when you wasn't doing anything, when I wasn't doing anything, when we were not doing anything, you didn't have trouble with any enemies. The enemies show up to stop people that know their assignment. Anytime you're running with the enemy, anytime you're doing the same thing the enemy is doing, he doesn't need to stop you. Your enemy is a signpost. He's an indication permitted by God that you are in the center of God's will, that you are about to do something that you've never done before, go somewhere you've never been before, and have something you've never had before. I prophetically speak to you. I prophesy to you. Some of you tuned me in today just so you could get up and start to finish what God has given you to start. Many times people will come into your life to discourage you because they know if they leave you alone, if they ever give you a chance to break loose and to get started, they know that you're going to be successful in certain areas. The devil and people, many times when the devil's working through people, Satan will assign people to mess with you, to bother you, to get off track. Man, you know you ugly. Didn't know women like you until you decided you had an assignment, until you decided you was going to do something. Girl, you know your hair was nappy. You getting it fixed now and got your weave cocked to the side and all that. But they start liking you with that nappy hair. Come on, you better talk to me. That was a devil many times sent from God sent from Satan to get you off track. Now, if you can get over being mad at me, you can get this. just like, when I decided, gave my life to Christ, I was single. And man, looked like women came from everywhere. Oh my God. They just loved me, and I kind of liked them loving me. You hear what I'm saying? But I had to make sure that I knew what my assignment was. See, some things you got to give up so you can walk in your assignment. You got to move forward so you can walk in your assignment. I come from a life of, I used to, years ago when I was in my teens and early 20s, I shot heroin and did cocaine. Well, I gave my life to Christ when I was 22 years old. And all my old heroin buddies and cocaine buddies, they came by the house. Now all of a sudden they want to give me free heroin. They want to give me free cocaine. Man, wasn't nobody giving nobody no free cocaine and no free heroin. Now all of a sudden you want to get me off my assignment. Now you all of a sudden, you my friend, you my buddy, when I used to beg you for heroin and you wouldn't give me none. You better know when people are from hell. You better know when people are trying to get you off your assignment. Listen, I speak to you and tell you that you are in the midst of your best days, and your best days are ahead of you. Let me give you a couple more points, and then we're going to finish. We're going to stop for tonight. Finish what you start. Number 5, your enemy causes movement. Always know this. Your enemy, anytime an enemy comes into your life, your enemy causes movement. See, the Israelites would have remained in Egypt had their afflictions not became unbearable. The Israelites didn't begin to move and didn't begin to go into the promised land and head into their promised land until it became unbearable in Egypt. Many times God will allow things to be uncomfortable for you so that he can get you up and move you forward. That's good. I want to say something else, but I want to finish. Number 6, your assignment that you've been called to finish forces your enemy to reveal himself. Your assignment that you've been called to finish forces your enemy to reveal himself. As Jesus obeyed the Father, listen, as Jesus obeyed the Father, preaching and healing the sick, his enemies could not stifle their reaction and hatred. They could not hold back the hatred that they had for him. They could not hold back the dislike that they had for him. I'm telling you that whenever you get on your assignment and whenever you start to do what God has called you to do, your enemy cannot hold back. It reveals what's in your enemy. So your assignment forces your enemy to reveal himself. Number 7, I'm going to give you 10 of these and I'm going to stop. Your enemy forces your future to become visible. Ooh. Your enemy forces your future to become visible. You remember the story of David and Goliath? Goliath positioned David for visibility. His future as a military champion became established when he went up against Goliath. Sometimes what looks like it's going to kill you is the thing that's about to propel you. Ooh, glory. Number 9. Your enemy also reveals the necessity of God in your life. Sometimes we'll never finish unless an enemy comes into our life or opposition comes into our life and reveals the necessity of God. See, without conflict, we often become arrogant, self-centered, and self-sufficient. But whenever there's conflict, whenever there's tough times, just like with this coronavirus right now, man, I see everyone, and I think it's a good thing. I see everyone now beginning to teach and preach, and I see people that I didn't even know were anointed. I mean, they got things on social media, and they reading their Bible. People that ain't never read their Bible. Now, I want to encourage you, that might be part of your assignment. Maybe you're recognizing your calling during the coronavirus. The thing that Satan thought was going to take you out, that means that you haven't been taken out. You're still listening to me, and you're about to step into the greatest days of your life. You're about to do some things you never thought you would do, or you're about to do some things you didn't know how you were going to do them, but now God is qualifying you, and God's taking you to another level. God's spoken to you maybe to go back to school, as I said earlier, or to finish a particular career or to get into a particular career. I prophetically speak to you that you are about to do great things. Number 10, and this is the last one I'm going to give you. Finish what you start. That's what we're talking about on this afternoon. Finish what you start. Don't you give up. Don't you cave in, and don't you quit. Number 10, when you discover your assignment, the thing that you're called to start and to finish, and you are pleasing to God, your enemies can't touch you. When you discover your assignment, the thing that you are to start and the thing that you are to finish, and you are pleasing to God, your enemies can't touch you. Look what Proverbs 16:7 says. It says, when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. I want to read this same verse from the Living Bible, Proverbs 16:7. It says, when a man is trying to please God, God makes even his worst enemies to be at peace with him. Even his worst enemies to be. See, don't worry about your enemies. God has your enemies covered. He will reveal to you what people are trying to do. And actually, it's Satan trying to use people to destroy you, to keep you from finishing what you started, or to keep you from ever starting what God has called you to. Look at this in Proverbs 27. Proverbs 27 now in verse 6. And then we're going to be out of here for tonight. I hope I've said something that blessed you. If I were you, I would order this particular message, because some of you are ordained to do great things. Many of you are ordained to do some things, as I said earlier, that you've never done before. From the Message Bible, Proverbs 27 and verse 6, it says, listen at this. It says, the wounds of a lover are worth it, but kisses from an enemy do you in. The wounds of a lover are worth it. The kisses from an enemy do you in. Actually, what all the scripture is saying is that you know that when someone that loves you, when they wound you, they did it meaning you some good. But when an enemy kisses you, you don't know that enemy's motive. I want to read one more scripture that I can't leave out of here. Let's go back to Proverbs 16 and verse 7 from the Message Bible also. Look what this says. It says, when God approves of your life, even your enemies end up shaking your hand. Look at this. Let me read that again. You got your shouting clothes on. When God approves of your life, even your enemies end up shaking your hand. I speak to you, I prophetically leave you with this on tonight, that there's some people that don't even like you that's about to shake your hand. There's some people that don't want to see you go anywhere that's about to promote you. There's some people that seem like they want to hold you back, but God's going to breathe on them, and you're going to be the person that they give that raise. Are you listening to what I'm saying? And I speak to you that doors are opening for you. I speak to you that finances are coming your way. I speak to you long, satisfied life. And I'm going to leave you with this. Finish what you start. This has been Rick Layton. If you want to give to our ministry, you will see the message on the screen where to give to. We thank God for you. And I want to say this to you. This whole thing that we're seeing happening right now, this whole thing is about to end. It's about to end. And you are about to grin. And make sure you win. God bless you. We love you. See you.